This is a response to ssskinners video on, what is a game. I think I covered some of this in Super Dan 88's response to Super Dan 88's video on why we collect vintage and retro gaming. And I mentioned at the time that when we collect older games, when you get something like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Centipede, Tempest, Joust, all of those games are different. There's some great variety there. You look at a lot of the modern games on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, and they're nearly all of them a first-person shooter, a third-person shooter, sports game, a racing game, a RPG, and that's about it. And the other thing I hear is so many of these hardcore gamers that talk about how the Wii isn't a real platform, how it's not a real game machine. Well, that's funny, considering there's not a real game machine, that it's outselling the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 as well. So I think maybe sskinner has the right of it. There is, when we talk about hardcore gamers, it's not that they're hardcore necessarily in that they play more games and they're more into gaming than some of the rest of us. It's that if it's not a hardcore game, they don't play it. If they can't blow something up or kill something, that somehow it's less of a game. Well, as the sales of the Wii shows, Sony doesn't get it, Microsoft doesn't get it, Nintendo gets it. For the vast majority of people, games are more than just your first-person and third-person ultra-violent games. First-person shooter and third-person shooter, as violent as possible, that there's other things to gaming as well. That a game should be fun. It doesn't have to be violent to be fun. And, perhaps that shows that the hardcore gamer, it's that they're the narrow-minded gamer, because they're only playing what they consider a hardcore game. And it makes about as much sense as saying that the only movies that are real movies are Friday the 13th and similar slasher type movies, that if you don't see, some co-ed being, brutally murdered, that it's not a real movie. Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, nobody would say that only slasher films are the only movies out there. And to say that it has to be, a violent first-person or third-person shooter, or it's not a real game, just shows a lack and a narrow-mindedness on a lot of people's parts. And and this isn't some holier-than-thou attitude, because I don't have a lot of those games, mainly because it's not because I don't like to play them. I mean, I play, I've got Tomb Raider, and I very much enjoy playing that, but once you start shooting stuff, does it really matter, what you're shooting? Whether it's a zombie or a Nazi or an alien or whatever it might be, the gameplay is just about exactly the same. And as the Wii proved, a lot of us would like some variety, and we realize that there are all kinds of games out there. So I think maybe sskinner has a point, and I think maybe that, but I think more than anything it shows the lack in the hardcore gaming community, and that it's not that they are necessarily more avid gamers, but that the fact that they are limiting themselves to a hardcore game.